Trev, the Giants, what do you do? All the big free agents are gone. This was Aaron Judge, the local kid. You end up getting outbid by the Padres. All right, you brought in Correa. We kind of loved it. Didn't know what the medicals said, but, I mean, a pillar at shortstop. That's what we said. You could plan around Correa for the next decade and go figure it out. Now, I don't know, man. It's a funky roster.
Yeah, and it's an interesting thing for Giants fans because, I'm around quite a few out here, and the way their attitude is you'll mention the Dodgers, and they'll be like, oh, yeah, Dodgers, great. They've won all these division titles. How many trophies they got in that time? Oh, they got the one COVID season. We got 3 in the last, whatever it is, 12 years. They'll always mention that. And it's right. I mean, they had a nice run, and they've been a good franchise, and they won 107 games last year, 2 years ago. But where they're at now, I mean, you can't keep referencing 10, 12, and 14 because those are getting further and further away. And I know the front office was making a bid to bring in a star, and you got, for lack of a better term, dry hump twice. So now you're sitting there, and you're looking at this roster, and it's not a roster that's going to compete for the NL West. It's not. As currently constructed right now, I know they brought in some guys that I really like. But I think for the most part, they're complementary pieces, and we were looking for a kind of like a game-changing talent to go there, and there's none left right now in the free agent world. Conforto, who didn't even play last year, right? So
nobody knows.
I don't think he's a franchise changer the way that a Correa or a Judge would be. So it's back to the drawing board, and now they're going to have to figure out where they go. I mean, now, if you're a Giants fan, you're like kind of what Dodgers fans are thinking. Are we just reloading and just saying, fuck, we're waiting for Shohei? Because I think that's what teams are thinking now. If you were going to go spend that money and you missed out, well, you better be in on Shohei. And guess what? Guess what his deal is going to be? It's going to be $500 million. It is.
Yeah.
So be ready to step up.
I mean, if
you're a Giants fan, you have to say, this is what we're going to hang our hat on. We're going to go get Shohei next offseason. And unless they do something drastic through trade or whatever, this is not a roster that's going to compete in the NL West, not against the Dodgers and the Padres.
Teams currently in on Shohei Ohtani. Angels, Dodgers. You think the Mets won't be rumored? Uncle Steve? Are you kidding me? You think the Yankees won't be rumored? I mean,
the Red Sox have missed out on every free agent too. The Red Sox fans better be outside with signs saying Shohei, Shohei, show me Shohei.
I know it's too early to fast forward to next free agency, but it's going to be Shohei all of next year. Machado has that opt out. There's been some rumors of he. I guess that's the thing. If I'm a Giants fan, I'm happy that I do have a front office that wants to make the big move, that wants to bring in the superstar and wants to do that. You just thought it was going to be this year, and now it feels like you're going to have another feeler year. Like what's Mitch Haniger going to be? What's Jock Peterson signed the qualifying offer. Competing with the Dodgers and the Padres out west right now is tough. And it just feels like you're going to have another feel it out. And what is Lamont Wade over a full season? What is Tyro Estrada? What are some of these guys? And next free agency, they're probably going to land a big dude. Know who's a free agent next year? Your guy, Matt Chapman, Trev. There's going to be dudes next year, but I think as a Giants fan, you thought you had Judge, you thought you had Correa, and now, I mean, they're a franchise that a couple years ago won 108 games, 107, whatever it was, and the roster didn't look crazy different. Couple guys. You believe in what your team's doing. You like Gabe. You like the front office. But, man, it feels like your dream scenario at this point is the third wild card. I don't know.
Dude, I mean, only so often does everything line up the way it did for the Giants in 2021, where, you stay relatively healthy, guys have career years, everyone kind of meshes up, you're winning close games. That was kind of like best case scenario, and that rarely ever happens for a team. Like, you're going to have to stave off injuries. You're going to have to go through times where guys are just not having their best years. So to be able to rely on that, or to think that you're going to rely on that, like best case scenario, super optimistic about the roster, it just doesn't happen all the time. So you could think like, hey, this roster, if it all shakes out right, we can compete. It's like, well, it ain't always going to shake out right. And if you don't have a surplus of talent, or a guy like a Judge who can carry you, like he carried the Yankees last second half, like you need those guys on your roster at some point. And they don't have it right now. It's tough. I'll say this about Giants fans. You're right. They have to be happy that they do have a front office that's trying to make a big splash. But trying's only so good, man. Like, you got to get it done.
Right.
And like, if you're a Giants fan, are you like saying, what doctor is this?
Right?
Can we
what happened?
What doctor? Who are you? Who's the Mets doctors?
Right? Is he going to clear that? Like, we can't even dream of that, because maybe that's going to be next week's episode. Correa to the Twins.
Correa, oh my God. He's like, I guess I got to go back to Minnesota.
Contract goes back up to 370. I don't know. You wonder what information comes out about this. Is it the back? What else could it be? And I mean, Trev, I guess it's the part that's being ignored to this, and we'll see where we're at 5 years with the San Francisco Giants. But if in 5 years Carlos Correa has annual back injuries, or his knees messed up, or his shoulder, I have no clue. But doctors said don't play this guy. I don't know.
I don't think they said don't play this guy. I think they said, well, we see this, and maybe in this fourth year this could flare up, and blah blah blah. It's like, you know what? I don't think Steve Cohen cares about that. I think Steve Cohen cares about the next 3 years.
Yeah,
like, he basically promised a World Series, and you cannot run your team thinking about, oh, well, these guys might get hurt. What? You can't do that. You put the best team on the field that you can. And you understand there's going to be some years in this 12-year deal where Carlos Correa might be banged up a little bit. That's every fucking player on the planet, bro. 12 years of clean health? It doesn't happen. Like, you have to be realistic about this. When you give a guy 12 years, you're not expecting 12 banger years. You want like 4 or 5 banger years, about 3 or 4 years that are really good, and then try to be serviceable the rest of the way. That's the bottom line, dude. And you're giving yourself a chance now. Their time is now. I mentioned the age of this roster. It's perfect. It's set up. Enough youth, enough experience. I like it. And it's hard. I'm looking now. And this is a big statement because there's some good teams in the NL. And we still have to do our TPPs. We really dig down into these rosters. But this Mets roster is on the top tier in the NL.
Wow.
It is. I mean, who's above them?
I don't know. I still like the Braves a lot. Dodgers feel like they still have.
I believe Braves are top tier. I believe the Dodgers are top tier. I believe the freaking New York Mets are top tier.
Padres,
yeah, top tier.
Phillies.
I have to look at that. I think
the bigger statement, Trev, is we're going to be coastal elitists all next year, man. Because that's Dodgers, Padres, Phillies, Mets, Braves.
Well, you know what, Midwest? I don't know what to tell you.
Cardinals, go do your BS move where you bring in Brian Reynolds and you give him a 12-year contract.
Oh, my God.
And he's the next guy.
I'm not saying they have the best roster in the National League, but they are on the top tier.
You're top
tier. And boy, oh boy, like, is the National League so much deeper than the American League?
It's a good argument for it. We were saying that last playoffs a lot.